we are often called upon to be a moment of healing, or to be a vessel through which love can flow, right? And you know, so yeah, I don't know. It's thorny, man.
Yeah,
Thorny.
well, it's those thorns that like, it they become they become the journey themselves,
Yeah,
those thorns. And that's part of the reason why like I'm so adamant about not like I'm not one of the good guys because like if I conceive of myself as one of the good guys who is then aligned against the bad guys,
right.
then it gets, it turns into something really rigid, and then I can't see when I'm encountering thorns or when
Right.
I am being a thorn or something like that. You know what I mean? Because I have this idea of myself as a good guy, and that doesn't, that so then that sort of aligns me with villainy, which is, it's unfortunate, but it's going to be what it's going to be. But and that was one of the things that like I was talking with Reverend Janglebones on his podcast Soapbox about Disney villains because we were talking about a Disney movie, and I was talking about how much I loved Disney villains, and but like there are all these memes going around right now when it's like when the villain is making his monologue and he like low key be making points
Right.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so there's this space there where it's like, and this comes back to the personal sovereignty as well, right? Because the good guys are so often law abiding or something like that, whereas once you get into villainy, then you don't have to do the thing that you were told to do. And then you've got all these other options. Literally anything else is possible. And so you can do harm. You can do the bad things. You can become Lex Luthor and, like try to take over the world because you want to be like an insurance mogul or something like that. Or isn't that what Lex Luthor would do? I don't know. But
Actually, keep going. I want to come back to Luther though, because this is a good point. This is something I like want to hit on. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure. Well, no, hit it. Go for it.
Oh, so I get your point about villainy, right? Particularly in the definition there that like villainy is the rejection of law abiding, right? Or the track that you are supposed to do. And I think that actually that is, by that definition, I think all magicians should be villains. You know what I mean? I don't think we should be doing the things we are, quote, supposed to do. I don't think you can do magic. Like, I always laugh at like the thing when I come out to people about stuff. It's like, oh, I'm bi. People are like, great. I'm like, oh, I'm a magician. They're like, that sounds neat. Do you do astrology? No, I don't. Oh, I'm an anarchist. And everyone's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, that's the one that trips people up, And I'm like, and they get even worse when they hear it's about meetings and not firebombs. Now they're really confused. But like, Lex Luthor actually makes a lot of sense. If there was an alien who came to this planet and was so powerful that nothing on this planet could take this dude out, and you're entirely reliant on him being benevolent, you have to rely on the fact that his choice to be good is what keeps him from ruling this planet. Part of me is like, that dude's got to go. You know what I mean? Like,
without a doubt,
you can't live under that kind of tyranny. I used to want to write a comic book that was all about Lois Lane in this trapped, abusive relationship where she's has to pretend she's so dumb she doesn't get that Clark Kent is Superman, because if she trashes his fragile male ego, he's possibly going to go crazy. You know what I mean? Like, how do you say no to a guy who could crush you to death?
Right.
If he gets mad, right? And in this thing,
and Superman is the 1950s image of like white masculinity with the little like the curly Q.
Although to be fair, created by a couple Jewish dudes about some Jewish strength, right? Like there's some of that immigrant but he gets co-opted, right? Like it's another case where like there's this idea of like, in the early ones, by the way, he's way more communist. He's way more like, like radical, right? But then he becomes the symbol of America, right? But anyway, and they stole the profits from those guys too. So there you go, yeah, standard operating procedure. But in that version, Lois would be working with Lex the whole time to set him up to kill him, right? And so I remember watching Dark Knight for the first time and hearing Heath Ledger give his speeches about what is good, what is bad, everything else is the Joker, and I was like, shit, this is really good. Like this is, and like then you're like, wait, didn't he set a dude on fire on a pile of money 2 seconds ago? Like, wait, well, hold up, wait up. And I think in the end, this is why I would not describe you as a villain, although I admire your sense of wanting to bring in the villainy and also your humility there of like, don't presume you would do the virtuous thing if you haven't walked in another person's shoes. You know what I mean? Like, don't. It weakens you to think that rather than to really sit with it. And I think you're making a great point. But the difference is that I think you work for flourishing, right? And I think that's the moment that we become the bad guy. Maybe not the villain, but the bad guy is when it's about world domination, or it's about crushing other people, or it doesn't care what happens to other people. But that in-between space you're talking about where you cast off lawful good and you also don't go in to just get yours and screw everybody else. That is the place of freedom, and it is scary. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to do that.
Right. And that's why Gordon he talks about piracy all the time. He talks about like Jack Sparrow is his like model for Rune Soup in many ways, or the Black Pearl and all this, right? Like it's this idea of like getting your desire in your head and then like doing what you have to do in order to get that ship. And if that means that like some cheating and some stealing goes on or something like this, then like the fact is that those officials were cheating and stealing more than that. And so
the East India Company is the bad guys. Those are the bad guys.
Right.
They really are. How much are you super into piracy? Is piracy like, do you have like a little skull and crossbones hidden around someplace, little like, tattoo I don't know about?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm super into piracy, but like I definitely identify with that far much more than cops or the people who try to corral pirates.
Back to piracy. Sweetie boy, I need you to go to sleep.